Drink your milk. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Dana, what is up?
Not much. I'm thirsty, so I'm going to open up this Pepsi.
It's Dana with the instant thirst trap.
You know what? Next week, instead of advertising for Pepsi all the time, I think I'm going to put it in a flask. I'm just going to drink.
And then just become more and more unhinged as the episode goes through.
Yeah. Next
Like,
week,
and another thing,
I'm going to drink out of a flask next week. I want to see if anybody notices.
Dana, why are you grouchy why are you grumpy this episode? That's my gig.
Yes, well, thank you for drinking with us on Two Guys Talking Toys.
You guys drinking and talking toys.
Two Guys Toasting Toys. That's what it'll be.
Oh, I like that. I like that. We meet up. When we meet up next time, we'll each have to bring something and toast it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So real quick before we get into anything, I gotta shill a Kickstarter. I have to shill the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Kickstarter because I'm backing it. Lots of other people are backing it, and I want however many people are watching this. If you're not backing it, go check it out. I think there's less than 2 weeks left. It's surpassed its goal. It's unlocked a bunch of stretch goals, but I want everything because I did what was called the epic all in, and
that feels good to be part of.
Yeah, like
part of the epic all in.
Yeah, like you can get the regular figures. You can select whatever like single. You can get the all in that it's just like the wave, so it's like you're ordering a wave of Marvel Legends. But the epic all in is that plus anything that's unlocked.
I feel like you have to be like a Viking to be the epic all in. Like when you say epic all in, like I want to hear like, oh, now that's just great. Like I want to hear it.
Ride of the Valkyries plays when it concludes. We wipe out anyone who hasn't gone all in.
Right.
So go check that out. Also check out Zujitsu Warriors. Unfortunately, they've only kind of made like a fraction of what they were going for, but from what I read, I think that they have other plans to actually get these released. So kudos to them for that. Like it's cool that they're actually going to be able to release these and not worry about hitting the Kickstarter goal.
Always have a plan B.
Absolutely, or a rich uncle.
That right. Yeah, I have neither of those at this moment.
But one day I hope to be the rich uncle, but that's not going to be anytime soon.
So, well, you never know. This podcast could take off anytime.
You never know. Look at that Nike endorsement.
Right, or or the good people of Lebanon will invite us over there to live like kings.
Absolutely. So, have you gotten anything new? You get any pickups?
Yes.
Oh, what'd you get?
I was at the I love the Toys R Us stuck in the Macy's because you never know if you go to different Macy's, you never know what kind of Toys R Us you're going to walk into.
It really is a toss of the dice.
The one nearest to us is going downhill fast, but the one in the Roosevelt Field Mall is quite impressive. It's half the second floor, and I picked up for only $18 the new animated series.
Oh, very
Batman.
nice.
And and I got the whole next line, Killer Croc.
Oh, that is great. That's a great Croc. I love that he comes with Baby Doll.
Oh yeah, and that's
so cool.
The other ones, and of course, I had to get another Batman.
Absolutely, you need them.
Yeah, I've only got several hundred, but they're really well done. And I don't know, and I didn't notice until opening them and really taking a look, just how detailed the painting and the attention to that animated look is. For instance, I don't know if you could see, she's got a little red on her lip, just like the sheen in the animated series.
That is very cool.
It's really well done, and the eyes. I know you probably can't see them so well, in this with this camera, but this paint in the eyes is kind of a gray color, and then the sheen on the lip gloss, and just really dedicated to preserving that animated look. And then they all come with.
I'm sorry. I much prefer when they actually focus on details like that instead of globbing on attempted shade lines, because I feel like the cell shading painting has gotten out of hand.
Right, and it's usually like it's interesting that they used a different paint, like it's a glossy
Mhm,
paint on lips,
mhm.
and it's cool. They all come with a stand, like an actual stand with the,
Oh,
with the
nice.
fork and the thing. But they also come with an animation cell.
Wow. Oh, that's really
That's
cool.
pretty neato mosquito. I like it.
Yeah, that's a much better. I noticed some people like I guess like the signature series that was popping up, or some toy
Right.
lines had a signature series. I would much rather get something like that.
Yeah, and it tells you which episode it was in
That's even
and the whole nine
better.
yards, and even thought to have a stand.
Good job. You know what? I again, I give McFarlane a lot of flack, but sometimes when he comes up with just a little idea like that, that's great.
Yeah,
Good job. I like that
well
a lot.
done. Well done.
Better than what was the Star Wars line where you got like a frame of the film in the toys?
Yeah, it was a little plastic thing with the
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, wasn't that great?
What do you mean? I have 2,000 mint on card in my garage.
And they're worth $2 a piece.
You don't want to buy them and put my kids through college?
Nope. One, you don't have any kids. That's you're trying to grift me already.
Won't you think of my non-existent children?
So what did you get? You pick up anything new?
I do indeed have a question box with me today.
Oh, it's a big one.
Yeah, so I think I actually know what this might be, because this has been sitting around for a little bit. Um, I I recently ordered a couple things online that I wish had gotten here, but that is unrealistic because I ordered them yesterday. But considering the lightning speed that not Matty Collector, Mattel Creations has been sending some of their stuff out, I don't think that's too unrealistic a goal anymore. Aha! Okay, so this is what I thought it was. So these are more Trump
Ah,
bubbles
you're gonna have a fleet
done
of
in
them.
Python Patrol colors, because I love me some Python Patrol almost as much as I love some Tiger Force.
I love that the
Yeah,
Python Patrol really doesn't have a set color pattern. They could be burgundy or yellow or
yeah,
green or
it's like whatever it's whatever you want it to be, and
right.
a Cobra officer for good measure.
Good measure.
These are holdovers from that fantastic sale that they had a couple weeks ago. And I hope everyone's stocked up on their Cobra officers and their Python Patrol trouble bubbles. And I'm a little surprised that they didn't just leave them on clearance. The one near us did. The one by the mall
Yep. Mhm.
kept them on
Yep.
clearance for a little bit longer. But seeing this guy also kind of reminds me. I was in that Target a few days ago, and I saw one of these sitting on the clearance thing, and I picked it up. And because we don't have window packaging, I did the full inspection, saw that the bottom tape had been cut. So I opened it up, and it was one of the other Python Patrol Cobra officers that had gone on sale maybe a few months ago, like the ones that had the kind of the gray, yellow, and red.
Yeah, yeah.
So swappers should be punched in the face. Like if they return something and the cashier realizes that they've swapped out, like these are on clearance. It's a toy. It's $25, and you swap this out and you return it to get what, like $7 back, and you leave it there for some other person to pick it up. Some grandma picks this up for their grandkid, and it's not the figure that they wanted. You should get punched in the face.
I
That's
concur. And I
ridiculous.
want that job. So wait, they took that Cobra officer out
Mhm. Yep.
and put a different painted Cobra officer in.
Yep. And I don't even know. Like it's just
Okay,
so
I've never seen them swap out something for equal value.
it's very
Usually it's
strange.
something ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, like
You're
it
like, I
wasn't
caught
even.
that bear that time.
Yeah, like
I've never seen an even swap.
it's very strange. It's like, yeah, like it's not even like it was like the old Toy Biz Marvel Legends Cyclops that they crammed in there.
Right.
You would you would think, because if you're returning that, you get what, maybe you got back $7 because these were on sale. So I can't imagine he got fully. I'm saying he because I'm presuming it's a he. I
Right.
apologize if that is sexist.
That's very gender bias of you
I
to
said
think
I
that a
said
woman
I,
would not return
I guess
and play
people
mind games with toys.
people from all backgrounds could be a scumbag swapper who should attempt to return it, and the person says, "Hold on one moment, I just need to get Dana real quick,"
Right.
and you come out and you
And they were like,
just
"Is Dana the manager?" No,
no,
she's not.
no, but he specializes in this kind of situation. Oh, what kind of situation? The one we're about to have.
But you're right. It probably was a dude.
So I hope that when you do it, it turns into one of those Mortal Kombat like super moves where they do like the X-ray and they show your fist going through and it hits the jaw and the jaw shatters and it's
I
all
love
slow
that in
motion.
the animated movies. I love it.
so, so
Love in the
speaking,
animated movies. You see the guy's like, just his mandible shatters, and it goes, and then he
it's
gets to
all,
go,
it's all slow motion.
and then the slow motion stops, and he's like, "All right, okay."
I'm good. So, speaking of breaking jaws and mandibles and doing all kinds of damage to
Oh,
bones,
that's quite a lead in. Let's see what this is.
that brings me to today's topic. I want to talk about skeletons. Uh,
Okay.
and by skeletons, I mean, kind of across the spectrum of toys. One of the simplest villains to come up with from as far back as, say, like Clash of the Titans.
Hmm.
Skeletons.
And they're
Re-
always the great bad guys.
yeah, reanimated. They're like the perfect fodder. You can punch them and kick them, and if you want, you can always add some humor to it. The head can spin around.
Right.
You get all
Little
of it. But
Evil Dead action or Army
yeah,
of Darkness. You know, it's
absolutely.
you brought up Clash of the Titans. So
Mhm,
Charon is a toy that I've brought up before.
mhm.
But immediately when you said skeletons, I had flashback to sitting on a Sunday afternoon watching like Jason and the Argonauts
Yes,
and those type of
100%.
movies, and then inevitably in
Oh,
all of them, Sinbad, the Argonauts, all of those
mhm,
movies, um, uh, those stop motion, Harryhausen kind of things.
mhm,
They always had inevitably the army of skeletons come out, and then I
mhm.
would feel myself as a youngster being like, "Oh, now it's on."
Here
Mhm.
we go.
This is gonna be awesome. And they always had that far pan on the
Uh,
ridge line with the ocean in the back, just with skeletons coming in. I love it.
and it's such a I don't want to say simple, but it is kind of like a simple standby. But if you're creative with it, then you wind up with some really cool things. Like, I guess easiest example, Skeletor,
Right.
um, who has existed in many different mediums and in many different incarnations that have been both silly and kind of scary.
Yeah.
Regardless of the budgetary limitations for the He-Man live action movie, the appearance of Skeletor is pretty scary. Even if you look at it, you say, "Well, that's just bad makeup." Well, imagine that it's not bad makeup, and in fact, Skeletor's bones, the bones in his face, all look like that. That's
Right.
kind of
And
horrifying to
that
me.
that skull now, like Remco knocked off a bunch of Skeletor, right? And
Mhm.
they did a couple of lines, and there was always the skull guy. But like when you
Yeah.
think about Skeletor, Red Skull, like
Mhm.
that sort of drawn in, zero emotions.
Mhm.
Did Skeletor didn't even have eyes to reflect emotion. It's frightening. It's really scary to think. And then you're like, man, this poor dude, he's never again gonna use a crazy straw. Like
Yeah.
that's just
Nope.
not gonna
Just
happen.
not gonna happen. We don't
No
get to
one
see him
no one
eating.
eats dinner with Skeletor. It just doesn't happen. Even Evil Lynn's like, no, 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 no.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to. I don't want to see how
I'm
this
on,
happens.
I'm
I
on a
just want
diet.
to. There is a moment in the Batman Beyond cartoon. You remember when they introduced that kind of terrible character named Blight,
Hmm.
who he had like the whole nuclear thing. Like, granted, he
Right,
he technically had skin over himself, but it was very like scare glow in appearance.
right.
Um,
Or a Tomo or some of the others that,
yeah, and there's an episode where I don't remember why, for whatever reason, he was in hiding, and Batman Beyond finds him, and he's in a boat, and they show him, and he's just sitting there eating a sandwich, and it's such a strange,
yeah.
weird pause in time.
Yes.
He's still like fully glowing, just
Right.
just eating the sandwich, and it like burns away from his mouth, and it's It was kind of creepy, but I
Yeah,
liked it.
it's
It
it's
was such
horrible.
a strange moment.
It is a strange moment, and I, at a young age, was always just off put by the thought of Skeletor. I always wanted to see the cartoon where he's just like chewing a piece of gum, like, and then he's like, "Gum, gum, anyone?" And they're all like, "No,
Anybody? Not one? There's plenty.
no, 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 thank you." Just
Merman, your breath stinks. Take that trident. Not that trident, you dummy.
well done, well played. Yeah, so my earliest, like, yeah, we had those figures, and then of course the knockoffs, like Remco did that Skull Man of the
Mhm.
underworld. He was kind of that Beast Warriors line
Yeah.
with the dinosaur heads. Like there was a
Mhm.
Skull Man who looks cool. He looks cool. And there was another one that was like a Scareglow wannabe. I think.
I
Uh,
liked I
yeah,
liked that Skeletor what made it okay to be like that middle ground where you could both have a skull for a head, but also be really jacked.
yeah,
Like the rest of your flesh is fine, but
right,
here, all the stuff on your face gone.
right. And why does he only have 3 toes? Like what happened to his feet? Like
Oh,
that's the
that's just that's part of the gar. That's it's just how those
right.
people are. That's just
Yeah,
don't foot shame him. He's very sensitive.
right.
Of all the things for Skeletor to be to be sensitive about. And I so was Skeletor your first kind of like skeleton based characters? Like is that the first one that you encountered? Because I believe he was for me.
Uh, was he before? He was after Charon.
Oh
Charon.
yeah,
Yeah,
he would have
Charon was
been
first. Yeah,
before. He would have predated Skeletor.
and then those other knockoffs. But the real like skeleton, true skeleton. There was a whole line, the skeleton warriors. I think they were
Skeleton
playmates,
Warriors.
right? Weren't they
Yes,
playmates?
they were Playmates line, and
90,
they were
94, 95. When
mhm,
did they come out? Somewhere around there.
and they really they that was a line that I actually didn't collect Skeleton Warriors. I remember
I have
seeing
some
them
of
in the
them. They got
store. Do you?
fantastic names. Dark
Mhm.
Baron and Oracula is right up your aisle. Like that sounds like a
Oracula
name
is
you would come up with.
Oracula is who I wanted. The only reason I don't have him would have been because I wouldn't have been able to find him. But I remember seeing the other ones and not they weren't Oracula, so I did not get them. There was
Right.
a there was a Kickstarter that popped up. I think I want to say around 2016. There was a Kickstarter that appeared and they wanted to kind of like relaunch the line. And who was it? October Toys. October
Oh,
Toys did it
I
in
wasn't aware of that. That would be
yeah it
cool.
was
I'd be on board for that because those were really cool figures. Even the
yeah
humans, the good guys,
mhm.
Prince, blah, blah, blah. And, they were well articulated. They were well sculpted. I mean, very
Yes, but
90s.
especially for the time that they came out.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a shame that the, re- I think they did make Goal. They did manage to make Baron Dark.
Hmm.
But they weren't able to make they weren't able to like surpass their stretch goals and make
Oh,
more of
got you.
them.
I
But
will
they
say,
used the
but those sculpts, those skeleton sculpts
mhm.
were really good. Like they could have, some of them were haunched, and like Oracula had some weirdness going on with his articulation of his extra limbs. But
I mean
I liked them.
it was a credit to Playmates at the time because at this was around the same time that they had hit the point where they were cranking out like troll turtles. So
Yeah,
detailing was not really something that they needed to focus on too much. They could always just make another turtles wave and crank that out, and that had
right.
a very specific aesthetic. Seeing them branch out and do yeah, skeleton warriors and the level of detailing I want to say these rivaled the Kenner aliens line in just
Yeah,
sheer
and
detail of the sculpt.
the
And
sculpt, but
their
the paint was
paint was
fantastic.
really
Like
good.
you usually see, like it took a long time to get skeletons to be painted to look
Mhm.
like almost fossilized bone, right?
Yeah.
Because they would be tan or white, but they had
Mhm.
really good little detailed, like I want to say brushstrokes, but I don't say they're
Yeah.
brushstrokes, but like the browns and the tans and the different levels.
Yeah, they absolutely
Um,
had what looked like a wash on them so that you could get
yeah,
all that
and you
detailing
could
to
almost
pop.
see calcification. Like it was
Mhm.
kind of cool. I thought they were well done. And they had a war horse. Have you ever seen it?
I've seen pictures. I've never seen it in person.
It's cool. I want it. Like I want to put it next to
Mhm.
Warduke's horse, Nightmare. Like I
Oh, that
just
would look
think
really
the two
cool.
of those things riding at you would be the most frightening thing in the world. Um, but it's a really cool horse. Like it's got a cool look. It's full
Mhm.
skeleton,
Uh-huh.
with like some armor and some garb on it, purples and blues against that cool painted bone look. It's really a cool critter.
See that something like that makes me wonder if the Four Horsemen are going to be jumping on something similar. Because if you're looking for probably like the best current, highly articulated, well-made skeleton figures, you're looking for Mythic Legions.
Yes,
You're looking for
absolutely.
all those between like the really innovative, unique looking armor that they've slapped on a lot of them. I wish I could go through the names. I don't remember. There's like Mandibus, Mandibulus, Scapuloid, Scapulas. I'm sorry, even people who are super into Mythic Legions don't remember most of the names.
No.
Although I want there to be a guy named like Frumpy Femur. I want that to happen. maybe sometime down the line we'll get like a femur grouch.
Right.
But those look phenomenal, and I know that they've been
Oh,
a
and the work
constant.
they do on the skulls with flames, like the
Yes.
way they, for lack of a better term, sculpt light is
Mhm.
amazing.
Yes. That have they. I didn't get the headless horseman. What does that come with a flaming skull, or is that a flaming pumpkin skull? Flaming
It's a
pumpkin head.
pumpkin skull. Yeah, it's a flaming pumpkin head. And I really wanted
Okay.
that, but I didn't get it.
He also looked really good. And yeah, they I'm glad that they can crank out as much volume as they do, but and it's well worth the price of each of those figures. But I just can't do it.
Oh yeah.
I can only pick up just a very select few, like Kragnar back there. Uh, oh, have you? I don't remember if you've ever had a chance to take a look at. There's a company called, I think, Ghost Rabbit, which is an awesome name for a company.
That is an awesome name.
They make a line of articulated skeleton characters. There was a, and I didn't know about them until PowerCon happened, because the Fush had an exclusive PowerCon skeleton that was glow in the dark. So of
Mhm.
course I need it.
Right.
I haven't gotten one yet, but I do want one. They're a little pricey. I think they're around like 50 something. But they
Not so bad.
have a wave of really cool, really awesome looking articulated skeletons. But they also have, as a replacement for the skull, a pumpkin, and each
Oh,
pumpkin
nice.
has like a unique carving on it. So you get kind of like a jokester one. You get the stereotypical kind of sinister one with the smile. They all come with some kind of weapon,
Right.
and they look great. I would love to actually get a couple in hand, but I have to prioritize what I'm purchasing.
Right. Yeah, those are cool. I always wanted to pick up. I remember Mortal Kombat did like a series. They just had like I think it was like a 3-pack of skeletons that you could have
Oh
them
yeah,
holding. I always wanted to
those
get those just to have placed around different things at the
storm
feet
collectible.
of villains. Yeah.
Those storm collectibles, isn't it? I think
I can't remember. I just remember I wanted them, but I didn't buy them because it just seemed like like I just wanted them to lay at the feet of Thanos or something, you know?
they also created. I think you could probably find them on Amazon. A set of skeletons from Golden Axe that
Oh
look
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. They're kind of they're a little reptilian. I was really fascinated with them because they are not the typical just upright human skeleton.
Mhm.
They're kind of, I guess, reptilian almost. So
Yeah,
they're a little
they're
hunched
weird,
over.
but
They've
they're
got the
cool.
cool kind of snout
Mhm.
uh skull. But those are neat. I would love to get a hold of those. Even more so if they glow in the dark or if they're clear. But I don't know if
Right.
they make them that way.
And they just recently did the rat skeletons from Battletoads.
Yes, I would like
Those
to
look
get
pretty
those, but
cool.
I missed my chance because
Right.
those were another ones where they were offering like a special edition
Yeah.
glow in the dark pair of them, and the pricing wasn't that bad. They were what, like 79
No, it wasn't bad at
for
all.
two, and they're fully articulated, and you get a pair of them. Um,
Yeah. It's
again,
so
just
funny now that we're talking, like you mentioned it, now skeletons are popping in my head. And then I'm thinking like
yeah, there's
whenever there was a line where they would just throw a skeleton guy
mhm.
in there, like like Bonehead from the Toxic Crusaders.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
that's
he would immediately become one of my favorite characters because he kind of had that like Ghost Rider look, you know, but he was
you
a
know,
little more punk, but he was cool.
I'm glad you brought up Ghost Rider, because yeah, I guess just as much as Skeletor, eh, kind of introduced just general skeleton headed characters to people, so did Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I know he's one of the Marvel classics, and everyone, and like that's one of those iconic. Everyone knows who that is. If you just picture Flaming Skull, if you see a Flaming Skull anywhere, you know who that is. And even if you
Mhm.
have an original character. Like I remember there was a, I want to say he was a Wild Storm villain who looked like his skull looked like Wolverine's mask, and
Yeah.
he had blue flame that
Yeah,
that
Hellspawn.
surrounded. Yes, thank you. I completely forgot what his name was, but
They
he
made a
looked
red one and a blue one, right? The
he
blue
looked
one looked far superior to the red one,
super
but
cool. But you know, you see that you immediately think, oh, Ghost Rider. That was another
yeah.
version of him.
What was cool about that figure is he had that kind of like, you know, like Shakespearean stance, and he had that
Yes,
orb that also had the flames coming off of it. Like,
yes.
it's a great display character. I love that figure.
See, that's a series that I would. Oh, who did that? Was that also Eric Larson?
Um,
I forgot who the artist was on that. I know they were Image,
I
but
yeah, it was
it
definitely Image. It might have been Larson. I
feel
can't
like it
recall.
had his style. I really
Mm.
wish, just on a slight tangent, I really wish Eric Larson's Image stuff would get a toy line. Um, I know that Leafield is finally starting to get a couple of his characters made into toys, but
Right.
Larson had some fun stuff, and I want his Ninja Turtles. I
Yeah,
want
those definitely need a reboot.
so we can finally maybe get all four instead of missing out on Leonardo.
Yeah, that was weird.
But so back to skeleton. I love that the appeal of the general skeleton hits all ages. Do you remember a couple of years ago when Home Depot started putting out those giant, like 7, 8 foot tall skeletons?
Yes.
And there's videos. I remember stumbling across
I still
videos of
see them in
people.
people's yards because there's nowhere to
Yeah,
put them.
where do you put them after Halloween? Well, you put bunny ears on them for Easter. You have
Right.
them like dressed up like Santa and leaning over the house, reaching for the chimney for Christmas.
My
Uh,
mother did that for a long time.
mhm,
She and my father would hand make these monsters out of
mhm,
like old paper, like reams of like rolls of big paper, like industrial rolls of paper, and they had that cardboard thing in
mhm.
the middle, and they would cut those to length and make arms and legs and put out
Oh, that's
a
cool.
full monster display on the front lawn.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
they did it for a long time,
Mhm,
and it was really cool.
mhm.
And my mother would go to thrift stores and buy masks and make monsters out on the front lawn. But she put a skull on the top of her mailbox
Uh-huh.
post, but it was screwed down. So every holiday she would put another hat on it or do something.
I love Halloween all year long.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. Put a dragon on your lawn. Put a
right,
skeleton dragon on your front lawn, which I'm
right.
sure I know a lot of the a lot of Halloween time really is the best time to stock up on your skeletons
Oh yeah.
because of whatever
I love the
company it
day
is.
after
And
any holiday because I
what
go in and stock up for clearance.
do you know offhand the name of the company that makes those amazing bone everything? And they get more and more ludicrous every year, and I
Right.
love it.
Octopus. I get octopus
The
skeleton.
octopus skeleton, the spider skeleton with the bone abdomen, uh, the
The cephalopod. Yeah, but I've got a bunch of them. I've got the cat, a couple of bats,
mhm.
the big dog, uh, owls. I have the creepy owls and the crow. Like I have them.
it's
Yeah, they're
it's
cool.
so great. They're so much fun to put into any display because again, they're like ready-made villains,
Yep.
or if you want ready-made heroes, Transformers. Like I remember one of the characters that stood out the most for a very long time that people were obsessed with a character named Bludgeon, who was a pretender, and his pretender shell was a samurai, but the face was a skull, and people
Huh.
they
Yeah,
loved
that sounds
Bludgeon.
cool.
And his he turned the inner robot was just a plain guy that turned into a tank. But everyone knows that pretender shell because it had the really cool looking skull. Oh, it helped. They had really cool samurai armor.
Right.
Um,
Samurai
and
armor makes everything cool.
so he's gotten multiple releases and then repaints, re-releases. But more recently, over the last couple of years, they started putting out what were called fossilizers, which were just
Mhm.
like skeleton dinosaurs that transformed into bone robots, and then you could pull them apart and use them as armor for other transformers.
Right.
So it's a really cool gimmick. And who doesn't love a dinosaur skeleton? Those things are
Right.
neat.
Those little, like, because they sell little ones, which, the animals that we were talking
Mhm.
about, and some of the smaller ones would make great steeds for
Yes,
other critters. Yeah.
I love those things. Oh, and speaking of dinosaur skeleton steeds, do you remember Bone Age?
Yes. Those are
I
cool.
loved
I've seen
those
them
toys.
recently online and thought about buying
Hmm.
them. They're really well done.
I had the Deinonychus, and I remember
Nice.
him being surprisingly well, for the time that they came out,
Mhm.
pretty well articulated. He had the tail missile, so you could turn around and you could shoot the tail at whomever. And I
Yeah.
think they had like kind of a weird modify. You could turn it into sort of a launcher third mode, so you could fire
Mhm.
off. But those things were super cool. I don't remember exactly how many there were.
There weren't
I
a
know,
lot. It was a short-lived run, but they
yeah,
were cool. And then I'm thinking about the just the visage of a skeleton moving on its own without muscle or tendons.
terrifying.
It's because it's something magical. There's got to be something mystical. But
Hmm.
even that visage is creepy when it's mechanical. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking about like when Terminator went
Oh
from being
yeah,
like this buff
yeah,
dude to
100%.
being that, just this the skeleton, just the
Hmm.
robot that looked like a human skeleton, cyborgy type thing. That was much more frightening than
Hmm.
Arnold running after you when he comes out of the fire and he's
Yeah.
just the robot, and you're like, oh, the first time you see that, you're like, oh, now that's frightening.
Yeah, that is terrifying. It wouldn't stop, and I think that maybe speaks to uh the knowledge that we all have. We don't want to think about it, but at our core, at the very core of our beings, we are a brain piloting a skeleton mech covered in meat.
Right.
But like
And
that's
it's
what we are.
becoming
Like,
more and more obvious every day that that's
yeah. Like
all
if you
people are.
because if you think about, say, like the scene from the first Men in Black when they capture the guy and he's like, I want to talk to you, and his face opens up and there's a little alien inside.
Yeah.
Uh that's us. Like that's people. It's just we're just brains in skeleton mechs. Doesn't that make us more cool though?
No.
Oh,
Uh,
unfortunately. Some
you know
people it
who
makes
was my
less cool.
You know who one of my favorite little skeleton dudes to make a character up from was from the Dark Stalkers line. Because remember they
Oh
did
yeah. I
and
forgot his
the
name.
Frankenstein Victor came with
Mhm,
Doc, it was like Professor Ghost or something. I
mhm,
think it's Ghost Professor.
mhm.
And he glowed in the dark, but he was blue. That's what made him cool.
That is really cool. I like I like that.
I
And,
remember that little guy. I liked him a lot.
and skeleton versions of pre-existing characters give you that really cool, dark, kind of creepy turn. Like uh when Blackest Night was happening in DC,
Yes.
and you've got that skeleton version of Deadman who
Hmm.
is just a guy who
Well,
is dead, but seeing him as a Black Lantern when it's
right.
just Skull and
The
uh
best version of that is
mhm,
from the Kingdom Come action figure line,
mhm.
because he's a skeleton in that, and he's got
Oh,
the
that's
big
right. They
thing.
got
But
repainted for the
his
for the Blackest Night line.
you could see his costume twisted,
Yes.
like from the waist down.
Uh,
He'd been twisted, and the costume
mhm.
wraps, like he'd been grabbed by the hips and turned backwards.
Man, that
Is
is that is a frail toy. Do you own that?
Yes, I do.
Man, is that frail? It
The jaw
terrified
is
me.
so I'm so afraid that that jaw is gonna pop off and I'm gonna lose it.
I got the Black Lantern repaint, and his leg popped right off,
Yep.
like right out of the back. I get it because he's old and dead, and it's old wispy bone. But man, there are capsule toys that I discovered on eBay. Speaking of skull characters or bone characters, um, there are capsule toys of Godzilla monsters in just their skeleton form. Because one of the creepiest things about the original Godzilla, even yeah, I love that movie and it's great. It's a great metaphor. It's just a well done film. But at the end, when he dies from the oxygen destroyer, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
spoilers, people. Godzilla dies at the end of Godzilla 1954.
I feel like
Just in
anybody
case
should.
in case anyone was wondering. But it's that great. They do the fade over and he fades away and he's just a skeleton left over.
Yeah.
The idea of that moving around, or I always wanted a model or a toy of that, and now I kind of want these capsule toys because they have it in just a regular bone colors. There's the nuclear green glowing version, and there's a clear red version for no
Mhm.
reason aside from it looking super cool.
Yeah.
There's one of Ghidorah as well that also looks real because you don't really think about when they're on screen and they're just stomping around and you're like, well, that just looks cool. You don't really think about their skeletons or any of their biology because none of
Right.
it technically works. But
I love in so many
those look great.
movies whenever they go back to either prehistoric time or most recently the Godzilla Kong movie in
Mhm.
Hollow Earth. I almost said Middle Earth. Um, that
Same thing.
these giant creatures with these enormous skeletal units
Mhm.
always manage to die across a chasm to form some sort of bridge for
But
everybody.
that's
It's just like a trope that happens all the time.
see what we didn't get to see was the prequel where this whole thing played out like 48 hours. Where he was fine, he stepped into the ravine, he got stuck, and there's just, they're animals, and they're not really that good with tools. We didn't see any arms on him, so chances are he just
Right.
couldn't reach. So
It's
he
just like, yeah,
succumbed to his fate.
I guess I'm gonna die here.
I'm just gonna turn into a really cool set piece. I guess this is my lot in life.
Right.
Write
You know,
stories about me.
people always joke about like I want to be taxidermied after I die and
Oh
just
no,
kind of
who says this?
yeah, mostly in jest. People say it, but or put in
Yikes.
like a cryogenic thing like the Walt
Mm.
Disney Legend, but not me. I mean, bleach my bones and set me on the couch. I want to be a skeletal warrior. Just sit me
You
there
need
with like
you need a little
a
Viking cap, maybe
not
like
even
a
this
maybe an
hat
axe or a skull.
holding like a Detective Comics with a can of Diet Pepsi right there. Like,
We'll make sure you coat them in in a nice resin so that you don't
right. Oh,
deteriorate.
no, I want a resin that makes me glow in the dark.
Oh, even better. And they make it now. That's totally doable.
I'd be total just a nightlight. Be awesome.
so we are, oh no, we're starting to get low on time. I just want to, real quick, do you remember the Jurassic Park kind of got into this when they released that the quest for the Indominus Rex set, where it was like you go underwater and you could find the skeleton of the Indominus Rex, and it came with like
Oh,
the
right.
Mosasaur.
I had forgotten about that, but that
They
was a
came
cool
out
thing.
and disappeared real quick, but that
Yeah.
skeleton was articulated and you could do cool stuff with it. But then they started making a line called Fossil Strikers, where it was you could build the skeleton of maybe like a triceratops or a raptor, and they had a little mechanism in the neck that made the skeleton move, and you could like bite things,
Right.
and they were really neat. And I wish that we could get some more of that because I want
That
an
is
updated
cool.
version of Bone Age.
Jared used to do those, you buy the block of stuff and he digs in it and gets the
Oh
bones and then you
yeah.
put them together.
Mhm.
Um, and when you snap them together, they're articulated. And
That is
it's,
really cool.
secretly I'd buy them for him, but I was really just letting him do all the work so I could see the cool dinosaur that it built after. But those bone dinosaurs, many of them were very cool. And a
Mhm.
lot of them had, like, if you bought one from a museum or whatever, had that sort of museum look, that dark
Yeah.
brown kind of thing.
Yeah, so you could
Um,
like display them, or you could just fiddle around with them and actually pose them
Yeah,
again.
those things are really cool for cheap little entertainment, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? They're, once they're assembled, are very cool little articulated dinosaur skeletons.
So
We still have them all.
we are down to the wire. Favorite skeleton figure.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Ghost Professor
Oh,
from,
good
the
choice.
Dark. I love that little guy because he's funny. Like, they kind of had that video game animated look, but this guy, he had
Mhm.
this, like, little professor's jacket on and he's all blue and glows. Like, he was just a fun character to do. Of course, we gave him this, over exaggerated German accent and everything and made a character out of him. So it's cool. I like that little guy.
Nice. That's a good choice.
And yours?
I'm going to cheat and say a figure that hasn't
Oh,
come
of
out
course
yet,
you're gonna cheat.
but I hope it does. I haven't cheated in a couple of weeks. I want Jada Toys to get around to making Skullman from the Mega Man series.
Yes.
Do that, Jada Toys. Jada Toys, get a hold of us on Twitter. Our handle is Two Guys Talking Toys. That's the number 2, no G after the talking. Same for Gmail. Take care, everybody.
Drink your milk.